Through the prayers of Holy Father, so Jesus Christ, our God, of mercy on us and save us. Good evening for those new here. My name is Father Joseph Swaden. I've worked in Orthodox apologetics since 1998, and I'm the founder of NFTU, True Orthodox and Ecumenical News, since 2004. We've been in the apologetic space on Facebook since 2016 and on YouTube since 2018. And if you appreciate what we do here, please like and subscribe. Today we do our live Q&A session. We're back on schedule where we get your questions answered live as well as member-requested video reviews. So we'll get started. And as always, if you want to jump on stream or ask a question or make a comment, just click the link in the top of the chat. Okay, and so good evening all. I'm going to try to get to everyone here. God bless you. Got the chat window up for the Rosanos Cafe. If you feel like asking questions or comments and you just want to put them on the screen, that's the one way you can do it. If not, then the other thing we can do here is you can call in live on the StreamYard. There's a link at the top if you want to kind of make a comment or if you want to issue a challenge or something to that degree. So good evening to everyone. I see there's folks saying good evening. Good evening to all of you. As we get started, let's take a look here. Theodore 813 says, I have a question. Okay. What's your question? Okay. Well, while we wait, I'll read some. Russell Shoots. Okay. What? I don't even know what to say to that question. I'm gonna just to make it bigger on the screen because I actually not sure even how to answer that. Hold on. If a man married conjoined twins, how would the church deal with this? Well, he wouldn't be able to marry both twins in the first place. He would have to marry one of the twins, not both. So I think that would be a very, very complicated situation. And let me see here. Let's see. Okay, I do see here in this chat, we do have two different kinds of chats available now. So if you have a question, you can always pass it through on the cafe chat directly. I see, is this a question? Can I DM questions directly to you? You can, but as you can see, if I see them, I'm going to have to open up a separate screen so that I can see these comments before I can screen them beforehand. But yeah, anyone can ask a question, etc. Okay, okay. Give me a second. I've got to come up with a better solution here. I remembered how to do it, but it was too late. I remembered it too late. I'm going to have to do it this way. Give me just a moment while I log in. Okay, give me just a moment, guys. I'll put the chat right back up on the screen. And okay. And then I'm going to get this and what the heck. Okay, so they're syncing. What is happening here? Let's see here. We're gonna try to see if we can get something going. On this, and I'm gonna try to figure out what's going on here. I'm gonna put that back on the screen. However, my previous solution did not work. So yeah, if you DM chats directly to me, let me see something here. I'm checking one thing. Okay, so I think I've got a solution. We are still working on different solutions for the chat. Let me see here. And so yeah. So let's get back to where we were. All right, so Let me see here. Okay, so this is great. People can reach out to each other using the chat, the new chat, and the old chat is for questions. Okay, so to get back to that question, so yes, Sava, you can actually DM me. Wait, I've screwed up here. Hold on. This is very strange. Huh? Share. Okay, so I've got this sort of working, and so we've got a bunch of questions now. So this is great. All right. So yeah, unfortunately, conjoined twins are still two people. So ultimately, the question has to be, um, there's got to be a lot of pastoral counseling involved there, and it's a question of how joined they are. I mean, I don't even know what to think about that. Okay, and so yeah, I guess that's something that would be referred back to a priest. What's the Western Rite Orthodox this is from Christoph Rose. What's the Western Rite Orthodox understanding of the fasting okay foods, specifically regarding fish and eggs, mostly eggs? To my knowledge, the Western Rite that we use and we've always used does not distinguish with eggs. Eggs are considered dairy, so they're still forbidden during a fast. Fish, and technically fish eggs, which are not regular eggs, would be considered in the realm of seafood. So it is, in that sense, slightly looser. But yeah, the eggs are generally, if they're bird eggs, they're not eaten, etc. Theodore 813 says, Father, did you ever read that ebook, High Treason, the Luring of the Russian Orthodox Church abroad to the Moscow Patriarchate, that was posted on Orthodox Traditionalist Publications? I have. I don't remember it. I'm rereading it now, but it was popular in the it came out in the 2000, I think it was 2004 2005, but and then it just disappeared. Let me see here. Oh, okay. Sava says, I think I've managed to fix the chat for myself. Okay. Just let me see here. And so I'm just not going to mess with that chat over there because that's clearly one that I could mess with, but I'm not going to. But there's a lot more that's going to be happening in terms of the chat, so I do want to get that clear. There are some upgrades that will include things like video chatting, so on and so forth, that we're looking at potentially to add to this. But my main concern right now is to make sure that it's mobile friendly. I may as well just I'll turn the camera on, and I don't have. Yeah, I don't. Wasna says, I saw a picture of conjoined twins marrying today, so that question came to mind. Did they have two husbands? I just don't know. By the way, if you want your chat on the screen in YouTube from the YouTube chat, don't forget that you can send in super chats. You use that to keep the show going or become a member, as you can see here, as Wasna has that cool little symbol there. All right, so I will deal with one set of YouTube comments that are here from a Russell Shoot. First off, I'm not truly convinced that Russell Shoot is a person. I'm pretty sure, having dealt with Russell before, thank you, Sava, I like it too. I'm pretty sure, having dealt with him before, he kind of just asked random questions, and usually they seem to be anti-Christian. Russell, if you're a real person, we welcome you to call in on the show. I would love to have a real chat with you. But you seem more of a hit and run guy that just kind of pops up out of nowhere and asks, existentially difficult questions that are at their core not very particularly insightful. If you express you have a relationship with a deity, that doesn't make you arrogant. It just means that the deity cares enough to interact with you. All Christians have a relationship with Christ through the mysteries. So yeah, that's not arrogance, and that's a silly question. How can anyone possibly take faith seriously and believe in the existence of a deity who makes Mormons so Christians will know how Jews feel? That gets into questions of free will right on the surface. It's not a very good question. It's not a valid question because God didn't specifically create the Mormons unless you believe that you're Mormon, etc. But we would believe that God does allow heresy to exist. So it's a silly question. Let me see here. Um, Conjoined female twins from the torso down marrying one man. Um, I don't even know what to do with that. I'm sorry. It's not something that I would think so. I really think about, but I imagine that must have been a very confused priest. I did have a question, Father. What do you know about the Belarusian Orthodox Church, currently led by Metropolitan Sviatoslav Login? I don't know who that is. I do know that there was an attempt at a BAOC that lasted from the 60s through the 90s. Occasionally, there have been people who claim to have spun off from those groups, but from what I see, they actually look like they came from other independent groups and then claimed the mantle themselves. I simply don't know who that is. And so I wouldn't be able to answer that. Tiny Tim and Anonymous Man do ask in the question section about the validity of the preservation of the Quran. I think it's definitely something that's worth discussing because I think it is one of the big weaknesses of Islam. As we have seen, Islam has had a very bad couple of weeks online. Anyway, um, I think that they have had not the greatest period. And I would say that, our first start with the EF Dawa guys was one approach, and the other approach, which is the violent blood sport approach, seems to have not worked out well for them either. Finally, culminating with the formalized debate in the modern day debate approach we saw between Avery and Hamza's dad. And ultimately, Islam lost again because without that usual sparring style of over talking and interrupting and changing the subject, their apologetic is it's weak. It really is. And I don't think I thought that the best conversation that I've seen on it was unfortunately the one I had because we didn't mute each other, we didn't interrupt each other, we didn't agree, but the point is, at the very least, everyone got their thoughts together. Let me see here. Hold on. Someone is joining the stage. And no, I understand preservation alone does prove nothing. Welcome, Joel. I guess if you can hear me, I'm not sure. But let's see here. Okay, I'm not sure what you're doing there, but if you can't hear me, let me know in the chat. Let me see here. Soliana, I'm 14 and new to Orthodoxy. My church doesn't really speak English. How can I learn about the saints, church fathers, and the Orthodox tradition? Thanks. I would suggest researching on this channel. There's a host of very good websites, anything from orthodoxinfo.com to ccl.org, or even join the Frosinus Cafe. And okay, not a problem, DTC. Did you want me to you want to try to come back in? Let me see here. Hold on. Just try to come back in. And just try to come back in and see if that makes a difference. So I'm going to do a quick boot. The best thing, one of the best resources you can go to is right here in the St. Euphrosinos Cafe. Just go to euphrosinoscafe.com where you can meet and talk to other Orthodox people and ask questions. I think that that's something that, you really might want to consider. It's the best way to deal with the situation and learn more about the Orthodox faith. Alexander, you said, isn't it weird that Jay Dyer debated with Sam Shamoun, who's Catholic Syrian, or is it just me? No, I don't think that's weird. Sam Shamoun is one of the more knowledgeable people on Islam, and if you're going to debate Islam generically for Christianity, I think he's probably one of the smarter people to do it with. Okay, let me try to add Joel again. Let's see if how are you doing there?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Oh, okay, great. Very good. So, welcome on the line, Joel. And what was your question today, or how are you doing?
Oh, I was just gonna ask about how's the incense going? Have you started selling any of that yet, or?
Well, I haven't made any this week. I'm gonna be honest. Stuff happened Saturday, the past Saturday, and threw me for a loop. And so everything is out of whack. I honestly don't even want to be. If I turn on my camera, for example, um, I'm not even like I'm not in a cassock. I'm just in a black shirt. I don't. I'm phoning it in today because I'm actually pretty tired and pretty unhappy about things that have been happening outside of the whole church thing. Um, so yeah, I have not been working on incense. I have this. It was a massive amount of force to take a shower, and a massive amount of force to even turn on the stream. Joel, it looks like you got disconnected. Let me see here. Yeah, Lord of mercy, thank you for that. Okay, let me put him back. Okay, Joel is back. So yeah, it's been kind of a tough week. I haven't talked about it to many people. But yeah, that's it's I have kind of stuff to say. Did you have any question? Is there any news worth sharing? I mean, honestly, I think the big news is basically watching Islam get publicly demolished by various and sundry sects and groups. Um, there was news that a particular cafe reader once has made the Lord strengthen a weakness. Thank you, Father Simeon. I really appreciate that. And there was news of a Catholic apologist who became a Protestant. Putin caught kissing the Quran. That is news. Although, if you know history, you'll realize just how old that news really is. Like, unfortunately, Putin's been doing this. Putin's been doing this for the past 20 years. None of this is new. It's just that this is the most recent. So you just add it to the list of videos and things that show the reality of what is happening. But yeah, of course they're going to try to explain it away. What else? What would you do in their position? And so let me just see here. Um, anyway, Joel, yeah, that's how's that? Have you tried the incense?
Oh yeah, it's good. I like it.
Okay. Well, that's very good. Joel, for those who don't know, is the fellow I baptized last week. Was it last week or the week before?
That was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So I don't know how how much you want to say about that or introduce yourself, etc. But in any case, very nice guy. He happened. Can I say you? I mean, do you mention you run a YouTube channel? I don't know.
You can mention it. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. For anyone who's wondering about the mysterious identity of Death to Compromise and or Rumpelstiltskin on the cafe, that's Joel. And so he has his camera off, I assume, for safety reasons. That makes sense. But in any case, yeah. So we're glad to have you. It was a very very tricky week, to say the least. But it was definitely not boring. But yeah, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling 2 weeks in?
I'm feeling good. Feeling good. Yeah, that was crazy. It was crazy.
It was a crazy week. But in any case, yes, Suffering Orthodoxy says, "Good evening, Father Bless. What have I missed? God bless you." Not much. We've been talking. Joel is here. We just revealed, we baptized him 2 weeks ago. Putin got caught kissing the Quran, and mostly that it's been a pretty bad 2 weeks for Islam. So, other than that, yeah, it's an interesting time. There was an article I wanted to put up that Father Simeon had sent to us about the World Orthodox Western Rite. It was put up a couple of months ago, so I just saw it, and it was absolutely disastrous, to say the least. And then Sava says it's only about 30 days until I drive to Pennsylvania, Father Izzy. Well, that's fine. I'm not I don't think visiting me is that great of a deal. In some cases, I think it might actually be a negative. One thing that I do want to definitely clarify here, because of stuff that, all the stuff that's been going on in my life recently, I really want people to understand that becoming true Orthodox doesn't have to mean that I have to be in charge of it. There are bishops, there are churches, there are priests all over the country and all over the world. I'm just inviting you to join them. If you want to join our synod, it's fine, as Joel did, because he had his own questions about churches in his area, and everyone has their reasons. But the one reason I don't want ever there to be is because of Father Joseph. Just because I make funny ha-has on YouTube doesn't mean I'm a good priest. And this week really taught that to me. So, that's all I got to say on that. But let's pull up that article, because it's such a shocker. This comes from a guy called Apologia Anglicana. He is apparently a Western Rite guy from the Antiochians, and he wrote this in June, and I will just put that up there real quick. And I was so grossed out that I thought I'd put that up. Suffering Orthodoxy does is any good feedback from the last show with Father Methodius? I thought it was a really good show. As you can tell from what I'm saying today, I was definitely kind of half in it. I was kind of phoning it in. But Father Methodius more than made up for that. He had a lot of very interesting points. I highly recommend that episode. People had great questions. So, yeah, I thought it was a great show. And I could see a number of good clips potentially from it. And if I wasn't feeling like particularly cursed this week, I probably would have done something. But I may not feel better until maybe the feast. It's a long story. So I got this thing from Father Shimeon. Sava, you can always watch it again. It's available. I will still read comments from the cafe, even when the cafe is not on screen, because I can. So if you want to join the cafe, just head on over and sign up at afrosinoscafe.com. And so let me just take off this banner as we continue and put on another banner. All right, I'm going to read this article because it's absolutely horrendous. Very good, Sab. I do agree. That's a good idea. It is possibly one of the worst articles it's written, solidly. Like the English is fine. It's just that it's terrible. So it says the Western Rite has received the Sacred Heart devotion as an Orthodox emphasis on Christ's love and mercy, which, despite common misunderstandings, is grounded in the biblical sense of the heart and flows from the patristic devotion to his wounded side. Wait, did it just repeat itself? Oh, that's definitely a bot, Wazna. Wazna just wrote, "Are you a bot?" Yeah, he is definitely a bot. He literally repeated himself. Yeah, the Feast of the Body of Christ, isn't that just Sunday? Absolutely, Chris. Absolutely. I agree completely. But again, this is going to get worse. So it says, in the Antiochian Western Rite Vicariate, we have just celebrated the Feast of the Body of Christ. That is a reference to Corpus Christi, for those who don't know, which is the post-schism devotion, centered around the reality of the real presence of Christ in the Most Holy Eucharist. As Chris points out, that's literally every Sunday. Flowing from this feast comes its own feast and devotion to his unending love for mankind, the most sacred heart of Jesus Christ. Now, I'm going to just say right here, this basic part about, the Bible, etc., these are all the Roman Catholic arguments for the Sacred Heart. Every single one of them. So that's its entire point. So this is all adopted from Roman Catholic apologetic to justify the Sacred Heart, or also the Immaculate Heart and the sacred body parts, as they're sometimes called. Um, this is an attempt to take the $7 and the sorrows of the Virgin, and then I don't even it is 7, and then take that and expand upon it that she has an Immaculate Heart, and just insanity. Sorry if my throat's kind of half out, but in any case, let me see here. So this is all literally papist stuff. Papist stuff. It talks about the blood of Christ, and so he just assumes, well, blood, heart, blood, ergo, Sacred Heart. St. Ambrose said nothing of the sort. So where do you really find it? You really find it after the Great Schism, and he gives Bonaventure, who was a saint of the Roman Catholic Church from the 13th century, is really where he does the origin of it. But even that is not even close to the Sacred Heart devotion. That all comes from Margaret Mary Alacoque, or Alcoque. I don't quite remember. But the whole point is he's going to, of course, address that. And so, he quotes this prayer, this Roman Catholic prayer, as supposedly Orthodox. And, it's not. But it's in the Orthodox St. Ambrose prayer book. Well, what is that, you ask? Well, it's Lancelot Andrews Press, which is the official publishing arm of the Antiochian Western Rite Vicariate. Here you can see this book also contains the Stations of the Cross and other post-schism devotions. There's nothing really terrifying about this page of the contents. And this is private prayers after Mass. So this thing is kind of sad, but these are the official texts of the Antiochian Western Rite Vicariate. And if you look, they also produced this. This is a reprint from St. Luke's Priory Press, but this came out in 1995, which is when they codified the Liturgy of St. Gregory according to their use, and the Liturgy of St. Tikhon, which is an Anglican book, 1995. That is an interesting period for our synod because that was when we completed most of the work and published a lot of the work on the medieval monastic psalter. So there were two different paths. One of them was authentic, Orthodox, Western tradition, and the other one was this. So basically, it's pretty sad. Oh, I didn't even share this. Did I even share the screen on the St. Ambrose? I thought it would automatically do that. Okay, so I was talking all this and I wasn't even showing the ugly things. Yeah, no, it's definitely a bot, guys. I see that. Russell has been on the comment section of my page for quite a while now, and he asks the exact same things over and over and over. Either A, he's a really malicious autistic person, or B, he's a bot. And I'm tending to think that he's a bot. Yep. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna put you in timeout. Because you know what? I'm tired of dealing with Russell the robot. In any case, so yeah, let's get back to this thing. Okay, share this instead. So, of course, this is Roman Catholic prayers. This is an attempt to, once again, now they're trying to say St. Dimitri of Rostov supported the Sacred Heart, and they get this from literally one line of his text, which was probably referring to the entire crucifixion, and so I'm not going to even waste my time. And then there's no reference to the heart in the Ecclesiastes, but we're just throwing it in there because why not? But what about the Marie lady? That would be Margaret Marie Alacoque. Yeah, now she's a bad person apparently, even though she's basically the inventor of the entire Sacred Heart thing. So this is kind of funny that he's managed to totally rehabilitate Bonaventure and 13th and 14th century Roman Catholicism. But I don't know. What's the difference? Was it because, I don't know, maybe he just didn't like her. I have no idea. Or maybe it's because it demonstrates the reality of what the Sacred Heart is, a kind of weird semi-Nestorian Roman Catholic devotion that shouldn't be in the church. But he has to excuse his own Roman Catholicism or Anglican Roman Catholicism, his high church Anglicanism. Well, all right. Well, that was that. Let me see here. Let Go 93 says, maybe do a deep dive into this book. Metropolitan Demetrius has excellent history on Elder Ephraim. That book has many questionable saints. The new calendars want to claim his saints. And then Chris asks, can it just be banned? Yeah, I did ban the bot. I don't know how long he was banned for, but I assume he's gone now. Then Let Go says, glorified in America, laborers in the New World from St. Alexis to Elder Ephraim. Oof. I'm going to say that, there's going to be a couple of it's going to be one of those mixed bag situations where you have a couple of really holy people and then you have just people we know aren't what they say, and they just mix it together. Kind of like how the Antiochian Western writers mix in Roman Catholicism. So this is kind of where you have that sort of problem. It's just pretty sad. Let me see. Silas says, I remember even as a papist thinking Corpus Christi was mostly pointless, especially as it was created by an abbot who felt there needed to be another feast for Christ during the year. Yeah, I would agree with that. What are your thoughts, Joel?
Well, I mean, if you look at the pictures, there's one Antiochian Western Rite monastery in Colorado, and if you just look at the pictures of that, I mean, I think that kind of says enough, really. I mean,
really,
it's pretty bad. Yeah.
Hold on, let me see. I don't think I've ever bothered to look for this thing. So give me a second. Antiochian Western Rite monastery, Colorado. Oh boy, Ladyminster. Okay. Let me see here. That is an interesting question, Saba. I don't actually have an answer to that. Yeah, this looks pretty papist. Let me see here. They've got a better. Okay. Don Theodore. I don't know is that supposed to be a pulpit? Did they put a pulpit up there with no root screen? What a weird thing. Well, give me a second. I'm looking at this picture and I'm trying to see this. Like, they have what I assume would be probably the pulpitum, but that should have a root screen covering the altar area, and they just left it open. And oh boy. Okay. Well, that was weird. So let me see here. That's an odd question, Saba. Saba asks, I do have a question on the more obscure side of things. Why did the Antiochian Church take Efthymius' Ophites body and move it to AV? To my knowledge, they had nothing to do with him, if they even existed when he died. I've seen pictures of this monastery before, very bizarre. Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Efthymius of Fish was originally a bishop of the Russian Orthodox mission that would become what was known as Theological. But he himself basically actively retired maybe a year or two after his marriage to a teenager. However, he was still known among the Arab parishes and within their history. And to my knowledge, I believe both. I believe they had a plot in St. Mary's, and I want to say in Wilkes-Barre. But I didn't know that they moved it to. I didn't know they moved it to Antiochian Village, but he was buried at St. Mary's, so it makes sense that they would move him there. I think it's to. I hate to say it, but it's easier to just say, "Oh, he was one of our bishops who apostatized," than it is to really tell the whole story. And it's easier to, as we know from from the case of Elder Theodore, making sure no one finds the body is kind of a thing. What is this? I'm disconnected. Okay, see, now I have Saba's problem with disconnections. Okay, hold on. What the heck? And so I was disconnected because I have a 30-minute wait. I'm trying to see what I can do to fix this. Let me see here. Um, what else was asked? What does Metropolitan Demetrius have to do with that book? I don't think he has anything to do with that book. I think he was talking about it, like possibly doing a deep dive, comparing the different lives that are in the book. So yeah, the Esoterica says the difference between Bonaventure and Scholastica is gets clout, wacky mystics don't. I think they're interrelated. I don't think you can have the wacky mystics without the scholastic system, which legitimizes them. I mean, that's just me. I know that like there's a lot of like, the scholastic midwit types out there on the internet that are like, oh, they're the greatest, but like seriously, they're the reason Margaret Mary Alacoque and all the others exist. They literally destroyed the concepts of sacramental and mysteriological union with the church. Yes, she did. She did write a book. I have not seen many copies of it. There was an independent group that did try to glorify him as saint. By then, he was really not involved. From what I have heard, and this is just pointing to my days where I studied these kind of weird movements. I remember listening to tapes somebody gave of interviews that she gave, and I mean, she kind of concluded that he was almost like not even a real churchgoer at all. Had no interest in orthodoxy by the end of his life. So yeah, the Good Cafe Reader one says the mission given to obtain this suffice was emeritus one, but to such a sad end. Yeah, I know some of the groups that have done those. They've since dissolved. As a matter of fact, one of the groups that dissolved, I believe, their bishop ended up becoming a priest in Rocor MP. So yeah, it's pretty tragic. The whole thing was one of the saddest parts of American Orthodox history. I think Efthymius did have legitimate concerns about the administration of the church in America and how it would go, and unfortunately, his choice to marry a teenager kind of destroyed all of it. So yeah. Chris says, yes, scholastic rationalism and mystic emotionalism are twins. They both appeared at the same time because heresies always come in pairs. See the monophysitism, Nestorianism pair as well. Let me see here. One of the bishops that was with Office was some old Catholic conman who got kicked out of Poland. One thing to remember, I'm not sure, I think you might, I don't know if you're talking about Zoroatsky, but what I was going on that, I would say that remember that most of the kind of Vagante groups, etc., didn't have any association with Efthymius of Fige. Sophronius Bishara, he had kind of separated and joined the Russians, if I remember correctly, and as did Joseph Zuck, who were the original bishops of the Theocacna. And then after that was kind of after the whole marriage thing happened, he didn't really do much. It was after he made Ignatius Nichols. Ignatius was very big in reading, very big in finding interesting and bizarre people who wanted apostolic succession. So a lot of things that get associated with Efthymius of Fige really had nothing to do with it. He kind of just went into semi-retired mode by like the 1950s, if I remember correctly, and all the later stuff is usually related to Ignatius Nichols, who tried to maintain the trademark, but he himself was a married quote-unquote bishop, and he also introduced like Anglican Western Ritism and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a kind of a crazy period, but unfortunately, yeah, I'm not sure who you're talking about. I'm tempted to say you're kind of referring to, you might be referring to Zoroatsky, but it's a bit of a stretch. Nichols was he kind of was a con man. I don't believe he was he had much in terms of actual conviction. Esoterica says created grace leads to infused contemplation and prayer, which is just talking to demons. Interesting. And yeah, I hadn't heard it either, Chris. Metropolitan Demetrius, who's declared an elder from, is not representing true Orthodox traditionalists. I assume you just mean true Orthodoxy. Thus, the book mentions him and others of the same lineage. Right, and that's part of the reason why I said this book is a mixed bag. The authors clearly want to mush that all together, and really, it does a real disservice in terms of misrepresenting Orthodox history. Yeah, the book mentions five quote unquote saints I never heard of. Yep, and that's we're going to see more of this as time goes on. Unfortunately, let me see here. Esoterico 77 says basically, after meditating on some event in the Bible or article of faith, or imagining yourself in the scene, God creates an infused image in your mind that your will and intellect just cannot turn away from. Yeah, that's very true. Um, I'm pretty tired, but in any case, let me see here. Okay, I'm going to assume, Chris, you're talking to Esoterico, and he can make a reference there. So other than that, let me think here. So, let me think what else has been going on. Because there was something I did want to cover that was on YouTube. But I didn't get a chance to. Let me see if I can pull it up or not. Let me see here. All right, I'm not seeing what I was looking for there, but let's see here. There's not much. YouTube seems pretty quiet right now. Well, there was the discussion of Russia that was on Apostate Prophet's channel, but frankly, it wasn't very good. It barely dealt with Orthodoxy. Yeah, just refresh it, Sava. It kicks you out, but it keeps you there. It's unfortunate, but that's kind of how it works. Everyone's on stream. It kicked me out today. This new chat that we're working on is interesting, but it can't really expand, and it's not themable. Those are upgrades I have to work on. Actually, they have cost to them, so if people want to donate, they can. But hopefully, we get the chat system finally working the way we want it to, and finally the way it should have. But in any case, yeah, you're right. Wazza says it sounds exactly what the Holy Fathers tell us not to do. It's absolutely. But all of this stuff is related. The Scholastics and Bonaventure have created a system where this was going to become the thing. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say that the Bonaventure, etc., are perfectly okay and Orthodox, but then say that Margaret Mary Alacoque is not, because really she is the product of what they produced. And so they want to be able to say the Sacred Heart is Orthodox while denying everything about it that shows it's not. Saba just says, I did want to mention I'm working now on translating the life of St. Jove Bornietsky. Saba has been doing a couple of translations on the cafe, so if you are part of the cafe, you can see those translations. They're in the document library. There's been a lot of people working on the document library, which has been really helpful. And so, in any case, yeah, that's so far what that I'm glad to hear that. It's very positive. What are your thoughts, Joel? Anything interesting you want to pop on discuss?
Not really. I'm just hanging out. So
Okay, well that's cool. Yeah, so I'm not seeing too many new questions. As always, we want if you can support the channel. It's literally how we eat at this point. I mean, it comes down to trying to continue to reach out and, trying to bring more people to the church. And it has its ups and downs. And so, you if it seems like I'm beating around the bush about what's depressing me, I'll just say one of my family members is in the hospital. And that's all I'm really going to say about it. And that has been problematic and upsetting and really made me question a lot of things about life. and myself and what I'm doing. And so your support helps me try to get the message out about true orthodoxy, but I don't ever want anyone to get the impression that I am some sort of ideal vessel, or that I'm a really good priest and pastor. I'm not. I need you guys to kind of look around the world of true orthodoxy. It's not just about me. Wazda just put in 20. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Thank you. And Tiny Tim says prayers. Thank you. We do appreciate those too. Yeah. And it's been a hard week. Is all I'm gonna say there. It's been a really hard week or so, and so it's just it was a cold and painful reminder to me that truly, when we set upon the path, trying to spread the message of orthodoxy, we can't forget those in our own home. And when we do, things can go wrong that you don't see coming. And so really take that extra effort when necessary to work, towards trying to share the gospel with your family. And I say that not by example, but by example of failure. So all I'm going to say on that is that everything is a learning experience, but some learning experiences feel pretty awful. And so that's all I've got. It looks like we're going up we just passed the 3/4 of the hour mark. And unless we see some hard questions, or you convince your Muslim friends to come fight me or something, I'm probably going to cut the stream in about probably an hour. EJ says, before ministering to the world, remember ministry in the home comes first is my motto. That is absolutely right, EJ. It's very good, and it's good to learn that earlier than later. Let Go 393 says, sadly, most hospitals have very little to offer for authentic healing. That is 100% correct. I agree completely. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation. All you can do when you have the ability to is try to reach out and help people, even in those circumstances. I put a request out on the TOH for prayers for your family, Father. I don't know what the TOH is, but thank you for that. And so, yeah, just Father Boniface is here. Okay.
Benedicite.
Father Boniface. Benedicite. How are you doing, Father?
Good. Had a busy week.
I believe it. I believe it. I saw your root screen. You have a beautiful root screen set up, and it's gonna be really good.
I'm working on it. Yeah, I took your advice. Just put it up there, even if it's kind of on the rough side, so that I can at least have it up and functional. Because in the baptism, we need a root screen. So I set it up, and I'll be finishing up. Putting on the extra final touches in a little while. So
Glory to God.
Glory to God. And so we had a wonderful baptism with Brother Edmund.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you had your baptism was today?
Correct.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. You see, this is, if you understood my mental state, like nothing, I'm just not, many years to him, many years. And
Yeah.
so that's great to hear. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, here in sunny Florida, I put up a canopy, and so that you can actually have your baptism and actually change and then come back into the chapel setup that I have. And so it worked out very nicely. And we had a meal together afterwards. And I'm just praying for more opportunities to baptize more people. So,
God willing, they'll be coming. God willing.
Amen. And thank you. And just remember.
Thanks to Jonathan Britt. Thank you again for $20. I really appreciate it. What can we do about the imitation crab problem? Ooh, that's... well, you were saying, Father? I'll get to the imitation crab problem in just a minute, though.
Well, let me see. I'm just trying to... and so, anyway, I don't know. We just... we had that. And I just look forward to... Oh, it was the point I wanted to make was that we met Edmund through your podcast, through this podcast, and so he only lives, what is it, about 35 minutes away, and and so anyway, so may God bless the podcast, and may God, and I want to encourage the people to share it with friends and use it as an evangelistic tool. And call people, just say, hey, try this out. Send them the share it, and just see what happens. Call it an evangelistic opportunity and share it with people. So, yeah.
Glory to God. George Chase is hanging on in there, leaning on our blessed fortune that took us for help. Of course, thank you. I really appreciate that. To answer this question about the imitation crab problem, I think there's two problems that you're dealing with when you have imitation crab. The first one is that imitation crab is primarily made of fish. There's almost no way around that. That is what surimi is made of. The second problem is that it's often made with eggs. And what you really, I hate to say this, but when it comes to imitation crab, you really need to be a label watcher. Some imitation crab does not contain eggs, and some does. If I was to, I can't think of the brand right off the top of my head, but hold on. Because there's one particular brand that sticks out that does not use eggs in general. Let me see here. Okay. Just going to quickly check and see which one I'm trying to remember. Aha. Transocean. You want to check Transocean because they often don't use egg in them. I think Chicken of the Sea doesn't, but it's really just... Oh, Lewis Kemp. Definitely check that one because they usually don't have egg in their imitation crab. But that is what I would recommend there. And then Wazna says boil shrimp. That's true, and the truth of the matter is, I would recommend, when you can, try out, most contain wheat gluten too, but gluten is technically fasting, but if you have a sensitivity to gluten, you want to avoid that. Another option, try real crab. It's in, I'm saying even the lump stuff in the can. One thing I will say my son got used to is he's not a fan of imitation crab anymore because he knows it doesn't taste like crab. It tastes something like crab, but not exactly. So, it's more expensive, but, that's why maybe boiling shrimp or crawfish, in some areas that's really cheap. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to, we don't all have to have lobster or even imitation lobster. There's lots of stuff that's available. I often recommend what are called in Spanish mariscos, or they're kind of like the mixed seafood that you'll find with octopus and pieces of crab and pieces of shrimp and pieces of cuttlefish. So those are all workable. And those can be stirred with rice and stuff or turned into a soup. But in any case, so those are, let me see here, and let me switch back to the cafe so that we can get these new comments in. And put that back on.
In Japan, I had eel.
Well, eel is technically still a fish, but eel is. The little bits I've had eel mostly like in pieces of sushi. So
Yeah, the Japanese have a sauce with that eel, and it is fantastic.
it is. Let me see here. Nathan Powell asks, is there any true Orthodox online bookstore where we can purchase books and prayer ropes and icons? I'd like to get St. Philaret of New York's icon. I would say that probably asking on the cafe, there's a few places, I'm thinking like the Convent of St. Elizabeth. They may have one. Um, there's some more variety of icons of St. Philaret online because there's at least two that I like, but most people like the standard one. Wazna says, Nathan, our parish has an Etsy page for prayer ropes. Father Mark makes prayer ropes. Well, that's pretty cool. If you could put the link either in the cafe or in the chat here so we can take a look at it. HTM has an icon of St. Philaret. They had a pre-glorification icon of St. Philaret too, and I feel like it's the same one. I'm not too much of a fan of that one, if that's the one I'm thinking of. They may have made a new one that I'm not aware of. But yeah, there's a few different places that you can get that. I know that my Matishka is going to start doing, she's doing certain kinds of new icons, so those may one day be a thing as well. As for, I know that the incense was brought up, Joel. I'm hoping to put up a page maybe later this week to start selling it online. And if I do that, I will definitely announce that next week. Let's see here. So yeah, there's a lot of options there, Nathan. So take advantage of it. As always, join the cafe if you want to ask. But yeah, there are places you can buy. There are true Orthodox suppliers of books, icons, prayer ropes, etc., and incense. So yeah, God willing, hopefully we'll get candle makers. It's all a matter of time and work, and so that's really all we have to keep doing. Let me think here. Yes. So Sava says many years to Edmund, and I'm allergic to shellfish, and a lot of the imitation crab here just has real crab in it, so it does no good for someone like me. I would think that if it has real crab in it, like if you're not allergic, it's a plus. Okay, and so Nathan says, "Thank you, Father, and this team. You've helped me greatly in finding a true Orthodox parish. Pray that my brother and I will get baptized soon. Well, God bless you on your journey, and I hope that happens sooner than later." Which is what I wish for everyone. Let me see here. So yeah, definitely, God willing, that will work out as it should according to God's will. Okay, yeah, Theodore has put that link up. I'm just going to copy it so I can put it in the YouTube chat for the prayer ropes. And that is, again, Jordanville Bookstore has some good books. It does, but it's Jordanville, so it has some questions. It's if you're just doing it by mail, it's one thing, but if you decide to go for a visit, it may not go as well as you think. It's a lot of the older St. Nectarius works and St. John of Kronstadt's works. Hopefully, those come back. I've heard that St. Nectarius stopped functioning, but I thought that there was more of a transition to it, so I was hoping that they'd come back. Let me see here. Joshua asks, what is your view of Rokor 1994 communion with Romanian and Bulgarian Old Calvinists? Well, we would say that we respect them because they were following the tradition. And the true, that's the problem that most people have today. And I really would honestly suggest trying something like the Internet Archive to go back to the old Rokor site on rokor.org from many years ago. Rokor as it is now, Rokor MP, is nothing like what Rokor was before. It just isn't. You have to do a deep dive into history, but what you'll realize is that Rokor was just a different body than most World Orthodox really understand. And so if you come to this from assuming that Rokor was in communion with everybody, that's all an illusion that started in 2007. It's not reflective of the complete history of the true Orthodox Church around the world. Are the Romanians still in communion with the STOC? I know they are not with Roquefort A and GOCK anymore. Who are they with now? I don't know. I don't live in Romania. But I would address that to them. They do have YouTube channels. Many of the time I've advertised some of their stuff. They have YouTube channels. They are available on Facebook, even on. I know that Bishop Akakia is on Twitter or X. Reach out to these folks. One of the things that confuses people is that they tend to think that I've got this like massive amount of knowledge, and it's not true. What actually happened is I was in a true Orthodox church for a long time, and we knew each other as we went through this, which is why I know people that, other people are like, wow, you know that guy? It's like, no, it's because they were around back then. That's all. But the situation as it is today throughout the world is huge. It's so much bigger. So when you're asking a specific question about, like, are the Romanians in communion with the Serbians, I really have to refer that to the Romanians and the Serbians because they are online. They can be reached. And I highly recommend that so you can get a straight answer, because my answer might be wrong. I learn things new every day. I didn't even know that they moved, the guy to Antiochian Village. These are all things I'm learning because I don't have full understanding of all of what's going on throughout the world, and there's a lot, and that's why it's good to reach out and make new acquaintances among other true Orthodox in other countries. Let me see here. The Roquefort and the Hakda were still on good terms. Yep. I published a book yesterday called Muhammad and the Amazing Technicolor Bologna Sandwich. An overview of the life of Muhammad, Broadway musical style. I hope I stay safe. Well, yeah. I mean, as long as, I don't know. I think I think it's a good time to challenge Islam, but maybe I personally recommend doing it in the least what's the word I'm looking for? Flamboyant way, I guess, because remember that when you're dealing with a religion where people are looking for an excuse to kill the infidel, you don't want to hand it to them that easily. The Roquefort and Hakka were on good terms. I didn't know if the Hakka had joined the GOCK by 1994 or not. Father can probably elaborate. Hakka was technically the GOCK in America. So to understand it, it was literally that is what it was. It was the GOCK's American parishes. The concept of it being kind of semi-autonomous or autonomous was kind of, I would say it was not, at the time, it was not as clearly defined. So it was really more just the GOCK in America. So it wasn't that they weren't a separate organization that joined the GOCK. They were the GOCK in America. So that's what I would have to say about that. Anyway, so we are now at just past the hour mark at 1:03. And so if people have questions, comments, challenges, just click on the link and we'll take those. If you want to jump in and ask a question on the cafe, you can. If you are a member or you leave a super chat, I will read your comment from YouTube live on stream. Otherwise, join it. YouFrostosCafe.com. That's Metropolitan Pavlos and his parishes, Metropolitan Petros and his parishes. I would say that technically the Hakka was kind of, Metropolitan Petros and Metropolitan Pavlos' legal registration. The question of whether Metropolitan Petros split, yeah, that was there. From my position, it looks to me as though that was kind of resolved between them a bit later on. So yeah, it wasn't all organizationally that way. It was a bishop of the GOC and later the GOCK, because remember that in the GOC in the 70s was not the GOCK. That didn't exist until 1985. So yeah. Let me see here. Is there someone who facilitated a debate between you and Josiah, Father Josiah? I don't think he'd be interested in doing it. It doesn't serve. Oh, great. Look at this. I have been disconnected from the old chat, so I have to refresh. One moment, please. And so, let me see here. But yeah, that's a problem with this chat. I'm hoping it gets fixed in the next version. I'm working on it. So yeah, I don't think Father Josiah has any real interest to have a debate of that sort. It doesn't work out in his favor because what would be the point? It just gives us more exposure, which makes it more difficult for, and I think that's true with any World Orthodox person. They're disinclined to talk to and or about us. Walzer says, I've never heard Father Josiah ever bring up true orthodoxy. He just does his own thing in California. That's true. So obviously he did talk to Metropolitan Demetrius and sent some of his books to St. John's. It's possible. Yeah, that's possible. I mean, a lot of people they don't get into the deep ecclesiology of the stuff. They're like, okay, they look Orthodox, they smell Orthodox, they have an Orthodox temple, they're Orthodox enough. And, there's something to be said for that. That's part of the reason why we do have economy when you're dealing with folks who are just kind of superficially about how, they approach things about what is orthodoxy very superficially. So yeah, that's ultimately what it comes down to there. My throat. All right. So, Joel or Father, did either of you have any thoughts or comments on what we're seeing in terms of discussion? Stuff I missed, maybe?
Not offhand.
Okay. All right. Well, in this case, I think I've explained multiple times now why I'm not, heavily enthusiastic. I'm not putting on the long wait. I might try to once I'm hopeful that things will be better by next week, and then I'll be able to do a nice long stream. I reached out to Elijah Yassi to have another discussion and center on the papacy, but he can't do it. He has his own family issues, which I understand. So I'm all for just beating up some more on Islam. It seems to be working out very well. But let me see here. Mott says, are you answering questions here? Yeah, I will answer them. I won't put them on the screen unless you super chat or write them on the cafe over here at afrozenoscafe.com. But yeah, if you have a question, this is the place for it. Go for it. What is your question? We shall wait. Maybe get some water while I wait. Okay. Right, we're looking for. What synod are you with? Who is your metropolitan? I am a priest of the Autonomous Metropolitan of North and South America and the British Isles, and my metropolitan's name is Metropolitan John LeBeau of New York and New Jersey, resident at the Abbey of the Holy Name, which celebrated its 50th anniversary. Hope that helps. May God bless you. Let's see here. If there are any other questions, comments, etc., you know what to do. Or if you don't know what to do and you're brand new, feel free to call in using the link at the top of the chat, comment, or ask questions in the Frosenos Cafe right here, or send a super chat, and I'd be glad to help answer that. So, otherwise, I am going to give this about 5 more minutes since, you may have a follow-up question, and then I'm going to, I think for today, I'm going to call it a night. And so, let me see. Thank you. Is there a link you can send her something? Maybe pull it up on Google and I can see. Hold on one moment. I'll just send it in the chat. There you go. Okay, there you go, Mutz. So I think I think that's going to be about it. I guess if there's no other questions, etc. Because I thought there'd be a follow up, but yeah, that's not hard. Anyway, if there are no more questions, I will just end this early here. I am sorry I didn't do a stream last week, and you know I'm sorry that this stream is not longer, but at least I actually did it, and it's been it's been a weird week. So I just want to thank everyone here, to our guest Joel, as we know him as Death to Compromise. Don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel, Father Boniface. Thank you for coming on and being supportive. And I think you were talking about starting a YouTube channel, but you don't have one yet, God willing. But many years to Edmund on his baptism. It was Edmund who was baptized, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
just making sure. Okay, so I'll add them to my prayer list. And thank you to all our listeners, to those who asked questions and had comments, and to those who support our mission. Support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net, on GiveSendGo, or on Odyssey. We remember all of you in your prayers, and thank you for all the support for NFTU. And as always, if we've been helpful to you in your quest to learn more about Orthodoxy, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good night, everybody.